That ain't my darn theme music.
Welcome. Thank you guys for taking the time out, whether it be your first time, your last time. Thank you for making this time to spend time with us here tonight on Timeouts and Tangents. I am your host, AP, and we are joined by the one, the only, the founder, creator of LSU Odyssey, a man who's been behind the scenes, fighting to be in front the scenes, Mr. Lonn Phillips Sullivan himself. Thank you, Lonn, for coming in and joining this podcast tonight, man. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I've been following the things that you've been doing, reading your stories, and watching how you've come up since 2018, man. It's been a true beacon of hope for people like myself who are just starting podcasts, trying to cover LSU and get into this business, man. So thank you for coming on tonight.
AP, man, no, the pleasure's all mine, and thank you for having me on, man. It's been quite the ride. I love covering LSU, and definitely love talking with you on the forums and group chats and that type of thing. So it's great to get some face to face.
Absolutely, man. So tell me a little bit about how you, what inspired you to get things rolling with LSU Odyssey in 2018 when you did.
Man, I was already writing a lot of different things. I wrote a lot of different books. I was writing full size books, 200-page books, in second grade, third grade, things like that. Like I was always wanting to do this, like write. But being covering sports, I never expected that really. That seemed really fun. And I expected like, oh, once I get some novels published, I'll go into sports just for a year, just for fun, like Hunter S. Thompson did. I didn't expect sports to be the main thing. I uh, I had different jobs, of course, but I'd always been really into sports, obsessed with sports, many different sports, obsessed with everything to do with them, and then obsessed with writing. And so after I quit a job that was very oppressive, managing a liquor store, which was like it was like 6 a.m. to like 11 p.m. or something. The hours
Yeah.
were unreal. It was like you had no life. I was like, okay, I was manager for maybe like 4 months of that, and I'm like, I'm done. This is terrible. This is the job was already kind of time consuming. This is just terrible. And Chels kept making comments about how you haven't been writing. This job has really taken the writing away from you. And I'm like, oh, you're right. Let's get back to it.
Right.
And the World Cup was happening right then, so I started writing a lot about the World Cup. And then I just was really excited about the LSU season ahead. And with Joe Burrow in his first season, I really was high on Miles Brennan at the time as well. And so I'm like, we are set up at quarterback for the first time in a while at LSU, for the first time
Right.
since Jamarcus Russell
And Matt.
and Flynn were on the same roster together. So I was like, this is actually a great era. This is going to be something. And it was beyond my wildest dreams, of course, but it just became marrying those two things together, but also the response from the fans. Once the 2019 season really took hold and people were responding to everything, LSU took over the college football world. We took over the universe that season.
Yeah, we did.
Like,
Yeah, it was
like
really-
everyone wanted to be an LSU fan, AP. That's the
Yeah.
best thing about it. That team was so good, everyone wanted to be us. That's something you cannot recruit on or try to sell. That's just something everyone experienced and
Yeah.
knows as a fact. There's no other team that everyone was like drooling over wanting to be a part of. We had that team. And being able to write about that team, I was like, you have to raise your game every time. If Joe Burrow went for 6 touchdowns, you have to write this like your life is literally
Put the
on the
paper on
line.
it. Yeah.
And I think that type of energy got people like T. Bob Abear to be one of our early supporters. Jordy Collada was always an early supporter. Um, Man, I'm forgetting a lot of names, but just a ton of just so I don't forget anybody. There was a ton of people within the fan base who were very supportive from a very early time, still with us. And I think it was that reaction that drove us toward this more than anything. Obviously, the love of it, but just the reaction was, you know what, this could actually be something. This could actually maybe turn into something that maybe no one else can even fathom. And my everyone in my family questioned me for a few years, like, well, this kind of doesn't make sense. You're just writing my LSU. That's kind of limiting. And I'm like, you guys don't understand all the type of range of stories that come out of LSU. It's like, there's personal stories, there's crimes that happen sometimes, there's off the field shenanigans, not to mention the amazing stuff that happens on the field. You cover a range of different things. It's never a dull day covering LSU, never a dull day. And it's the pinnacle of college sports with all of the best personalities, all the best characters, the highest profile people. They're always there too. And that's just what LSU has kind of evolved into over time. So to answer your question in a very long winded way, it's LSU, bro. It's just
Yeah.
LSU. There's just something that's intoxicating about it that is like, I just can't stop doing it. Like, even when all signs might be saying this is not working, you have a family to feed, stop doing this, go sell insurance. I'm like, nope, 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 nope. And then there's something else happens that just refortifies my belief in pursuing this. And man, it's about LSU, bro.
Man, look, I mean, you couldn't have said it any better. It's just those three letters carry so much weight, and like you said, they cover so much, man. And Moose is in the chat right now. I don't know if you can see the chat, but Moose is saying and talking about how in 2019 everyone was on our bandwagon, wanted to be a part of a fan base, and now they all hate us, and it's absolutely true. And my guy LSU Kobe says LSU ball. Those three letters mixed with our culture, our environment, it inspires so much and carries so much weight. And like you said, it's such a wide variety. It's not just football. It's not just the Saints. It's everything
No,
that encompasses the university to get to Saturday nights in Death Valley. There's so much that unfolds on that campus just to get to the product on the field. And like you say, you can't miss a bit of it because every piece tells a story. Like covering the hiring of the president was a major story because it led to the hiring of the coach, the firing of the AD, the involvement of the governor. All of these things add layers to the story, and it just makes the story feather itself out like a beautiful flower. It's something that it can't be done like this anywhere else, and that's what it just makes LSU just different. It's just an amazing way to go about it. When did you
just
realize
different.
that LSU was what you were in love with? What was your moment?
Man, that was 96, 97. I'm what, 7, 8 years old, 6, whatever in that area. I'm trying to think of because Kevin Falk. What was Kevin Falk's last season? Was it
I
97?
think
His
that was
last season?
97 was his last season.
Okay, this would be 96 then. Okay, and I can't remember the game. I know I remembered the game perfectly in another podcast where I told this story. I think it was the Go team where I told this story. But watching Kevin Falk just like destroy this team, and then watching the way Tiger Stadium was just like this absolute, just crazy
Wait,
Thunderdome.
98 because he was drafted in 99.
Okay, that makes more sense because I'm thinking like 96. That's a little maybe on the young side for me, but
Yeah,
I did
it
have
was
two
a good
older
team.
brothers. I did have two older brothers who were like, "Hey, this dude. You better understand. This is Randy Moss. This is this guy." Like, so I was hip to some of these things, but it was SEC on CBS and Marshall Falk. I mean, sorry, not Marshall Falk. Kevin Falk absolutely dominating some team. Maybe Florida. I'm trying to remember, but just absolutely eating their faces. And the way that the crowd just erupted, the way it was like this Thunderdome of this Coliseum vibe, where it was just like the noise was unbelievable. And I remember Vern Lundquist and being like, "Holy crap!" Like having these like kind of trembling kind of voice moments that it just really put chills down my back even right now talking about it, because at that moment it was just kind of everything in one go. You know, the Jerry DiNardo, his face
Mm.
kind of plastered on the screen, and then Kevin Falk on the screen, and then it goes to all these guys in the crowd. Then it goes to it just everything, the way the jerseys look, the colors, the
Yes.
vibe, Louisiana, um, being an SEC team that maybe isn't a team that wins a national championship every year. Maybe isn't a team that is a blue blood or covered in all this glory, but we're a team that no one wants to play. And that's
Right.
what we lost the last few years. But like LSU, we're just straight savages. And
Yeah.
my type of personality, I was like, I'm all in here, bro. And so, man, it was early for me. It was early for me. And I had an uncle who tried to pull me away to Ohio State, which is his alma mater. There was a time where he was trying to make us all into Ohio State fans, and boy, did that turn on him in a horrible, horrible uh, culminating moment during the 2008 BCS title game, where LSU whooped that ass, and we got to rub it in his face for about 3 weeks straight there, to the point where he wouldn't even talk to us for a bit. But yep, LSU early and often and always, my friend.
No, definitely. Like for me, it was Herb Tyler. Like growing up,
Really?
as a yeah, for me growing up as a young black man, I didn't get to see too many black quarterbacks coming back. So to see, a black quarterback under center for the flagship school, like it may not have been the best of teams, but once you got Herb, and then you added a young Kevin Falk to the mix of that roster, it started bringing some juice back to
Hey,
Baton
man.
Rouge, and that's when I was on board. Like I was all in after that point.
Well, because you're like that's a program that understands people who look like me can do this at a time
Yep.
when that was in question. Like people were openly saying like he's a black quarterback. He can't. Like people were saying that. Like it was crazy.
Yes.
Some of the analysts that are maybe woke now, but back then said some pretty crazy shit. But man,
Right.
14 Herb Tyler would put the hurt on people. That dude could run like a
That
mf'er. I love Herb
yes.
Tyler.
He was a baby Cam Newton before we knew what Cam Newton was, man. Like Herb goes.
Yes.
Herb doesn't get enough acknowledgement and love, but he put it on for the purple and gold. And Lacobra's in the chat right now, and he was saying that he remembers. Jerry DiNardo was the first LSU coach I can remember too. Absolutely, I think Jerry DiNardo, regardless of how everything turned out for us, he's always going to be special for our generation because that's the
Yes.
first coach that we put a name to. Like we could put a face to for LSU. He was the one that represented the brand and brought it into what was the forefront of our memories, our childhood memories. And like you say, the way that the jerseys fit, we looked raggedy, we looked rough, we looked rugged. We looked like a team
Yes.
that was gonna get it out the mud. And win, lose, or draw, you were not gonna want to wake up the next morning after playing the LSU Tigers. You were gonna wake up hurting, and that's what I love, man. It was full of grit. You know what I'm saying? So that's when I
Hey,
fell in love
man.
with LSU, man.
I,
So
I, I was so young. I was calling him Gary DiNardo until I heard them actually pronounce his name correctly. That's how young I was. So you're right about that, man. First coach that I
yeah,
saw, first coach you saw, but and it was a gritty, tough era. But still, that was when we built the establishment of what was to come. And so it was really
absolutely.
cool that's kind of the era we grew up in, because we didn't just get to enjoy the golden age like a bunch of like
No,
spoiled kids. We went through the rough part
we
too.
went through it.
You know,
We went
I,
through it, and I think that's part of the reason why now we appreciate like times where it doesn't look so good because we
Yes.
know that even when it falls, we still can get back up. We've literally seen it happen so many times where we've fallen from the pinnacle, where you have a team like 2019 and you fall from that. But even in 2022, you have a season that's not so much, but in 2023 you pop off with a Heisman Trophy winner and three first round draft picks. You know that if you had a defense that was comparable, you would have been competing for another national championship. We appreciate
Man.
those things a little bit more because, like you said, kids coming up now, kids like my son, they're not used to seeing LSU have years like this. My son is 16, so all he knows is typically LSU's in it. And when we have what is a 7-6 season for LSU? Like what is that? And he's not accustomed to that. He doesn't know these dog days. He doesn't know what it's like to not be in contention for anything once October is done. You know what I'm saying? So I'm grateful for where we are right now as a program. I've seen the fall, I've seen the rise, and I know those days, those Jerry DiNardo days, for as rough as it was then, you know, we didn't realize how rough it really was, but we can appreciate where it was and how the fact that we don't have to worry about it really going back down that far. And LSU Kobe
No.
even says Chuli Mack. Choli Mack, man, I've heard stories about those eras. Um, he said G Moose even says Choli Mack for me. LOL, I'm old. So yeah, man,
McClendon.
definitely.
Yep. A lot of
Charlie
McClendon
McClendon.
people.
Yep.
Oh,
A
oh,
lot, a lot, a lot. And even G Moose is saying Falk was one of the top running backs in the country. Donato did a great job getting him here. It helped a lot. No, that's the thing when it comes to Kevin Falk. You know, we always talk about locking down the state as far as recruiting is concerned. I think Kevin Falk was that one that turned that momentum back around for LSU. Because up until him,
absolutely.
a lot of that talent was eager to get away. And not
Oh,
only him
yeah.
staying, but him staying and having success at LSU showed kids like, look, yeah, it may not be what you think it is. It may not be USC. It may not be Miami. It may not be Florida State, but you can still come here and ball. You don't have to leave your family behind. So that turned it around. And I'm glad they brought up the recruiting aspect of it. So how did for you, Lon, like covering LSU, because you do a great job of being able to follow these recruiting stories and develop these relationships, not just with the recruits themselves, but with people around the recruits and with around the school. How did that work? How did that flesh out for you as you developed throughout your career?
Man, I can't hold a candle to people like Shay Dixon, who I think is the best person covering recruiting in the country. Because covering LSU recruiting is by far and away the most difficult school to be covering recruiting. There's nothing spoon fed about that gig. So people like Shay Dixon, Mike Scarborough, these guys do great work. I don't cover recruiting as well as they do. What I love to do, and it's because maybe those guys have they're part of teams. You know, they've got other guys on staff who can kind of cover other bases, so they can maybe kind of focus more on that. Me being a one man show, sometimes I got to kind of pick my battles.
Right.
Um, I I really with recruiting and finding these gems, some of these players. Usually, it's just started with people who caught my eye. You know, usually I'm very attracted to certain profiles of players. Like I love certain receivers, like just a Jamar Chase type of receiver. I'm a strong, fast combo, do it all receiver. I'm just like there, like I'm there. I'm sold. A shutdown corner, a hard hitting safety, a white dude linebacker like a Whit Weeks, like a West Weeks. I'm just a long haired guy, especially. I'm sold. A big beefy like defensive tackle or offensive guard, like I'm all in. Like there's just these type of personality traits that I'm all in on already. But then the families, you know, if there's a spark, if there's kind of like a hey, we get along with this person. You know, I'm not just going to bother people and just hey, hit them over the head with text if they don't like me. If there's something kind of if they don't want to talk to me, I'm not going to bother them. But most of the time, people want to talk, and most of the time, especially if you're writing something about their son, even if you give them some harsh criticism, sometimes They like it and they respect it, and they actually want to know more about kind of our side of things, like what's the media, what's kind of the landscape, what are their views on my son, and stuff like that too. So there's ways that you can help families, help players without kind of crossing the line of where of where you should be in being a fair journalist. But there's also some really cool stories and some really cool people that I've learned over the time where it's been the thing I love the most is meeting people like Jack Besh, or Malik Neighbors
Mm-hmm.
when LSU weren't even offering these kids yet. And I'm screaming at Mickey Joseph with tag after tag after tag, photo after photo, article after article, tagging him to death on the phone with Mickey Joseph, actually desperately trying to get an interview with him, which Coach O denied. But even though he denied, I would still be on the phone with Mickey Joseph, still got his number, and was bothering him. Man, you got to take a look at this kid Malik. Even though he's not playing his senior year, you got to get this kid, or else Mississippi State's going to. Jack Besh, a kid like that, seeing what he became, his family, the people they are, Malik's mom, Tanya, the amount of things she went through to get Malik to where he is. I mean, the strength that woman has is incredible. The things that woman's been through, and what she's done to get her son, you get so much respect for the families. People like the Weeks family, like David and Aaron Weeks, the amount of travel they would go through to follow their boys around LSU. It does help that all three boys are at the same school,
It
because my
does.
God,
Yes.
if they weren't, how could they even do this logistically?
Right.
One's going to have to take the East Coast, the other parent has to take the West. Um, but just to tie that answer up, man, I just it's probably my favorite part of the job is these relationships, because it's really something that you can help each other out for years on end. I mean, these things can turn into book projects where you can help really build someone's brand. Even I mean, these they can go into many different directions, or they're just people that you really love, and they come and they hang out with you at your wedding someday. Like it's really just it's the thing I love the most about it.
I think that's something that's an aspect of it I never looked at it from a perspective from not necessarily helping the school and covering the athlete, but helping the family and the family covering the school. So
Yes.
give me a story that like really like opened up your heart to realizing like you're making a difference not just for the school but for this kid and for this family.
Oh man. Ty Davis Price. He was not. He was being. He was injured. Okay, for starters. He had that hot 2019 freshman season, 6 touchdowns. He was trucking people over in the semifinal game against Oklahoma. Everyone thought that dude is sick. But then he had some injuries. People put John Emery Jr. ahead of him on the pecking order. Things went squampus with the running game, whatever. But halfway through that 2021 season, he's injured, but he's coming back from that injury. Kayshon Boutte goes down with his own injury, and LSU we got to figure out the running game. Ty Davis Price has a hundred something yards against Kentucky in a loss, and I remember his mother Stacy calling me and just being so upset that my son is playing through this injury even, and he's getting all these yards, and it just seems like the misery. There's no end in sight to this misery. And I'm thinking, hey, Stacy, it's okay. I'm trying to kind of calm her down, saying like, look, he can put together a season, a back end of the season here. It doesn't matter if we're winning or losing. He's going to be winning for his own individual future here. And guess what happened that next week? I wrote an article to kind of cheer her up, which was an article where it's like Ty just had a 150-yard game against Kentucky. We need a good running performance against Florida to win this
I
game.
was at that game.
And hell yes, that early morning game. And I'm like, and Ty, he's putting on for. I think it was like Ty Davis Price putting on for his city or something, because that was the exact quote he shared with me. Is like, I can't wait to put on for my city against Florida. And I'm like, who in that article? I literally said like, I said something like Ty Davis Price has always like he always had really good numbers against Florida. I can't remember what the numbers were, but I basically said like this could happen. He could have a great game against Florida. Boom! He literally, you can go back and look at this article. I'm not joking. It's not been changed. You can literally see. I kind of teed it up. He could have a big game against Florida. Boom! Thanks to the blocking of Jack Smashburn, he has that SEC record setting game, or sorry, LSU SEC record, single game
Right.
record. But seeing her joy after that hell that she was going through, um, as this mother that was really battling for her son, and seeing the online stuff and seeing the online hate and all this negativity just flip 180 was so beautiful. I mean, there's a few people who actually had some addiction problems, that I won't share their names or anything
Right.
like
Right.
that with, or the nature of the situation. But obviously, this is painkiller, opiate related,
Yeah.
and just kind of shared with them like, hey, this is some things that can help and some ways to get out of this. And luckily, success was what followed there.
No, look, those are all like really key points, and like I said, I think it's part of the story that we forget a lot. Is one that they're still very young men, especially now. Yeah, so we get it. They're paid professionals, they're semi-professionals, however you want to look at it. They're very well compensated young men to do this, do the thing that they love to do the things that we are physically unable to do, but we enjoy doing. But at the end of the day, they're still human. They're still young men. They're growing. They do have families, and while we do have a right to voice our opinion, I think we forget in the ways that we do it. There's a certain way that we should carry ourselves. There's a certain way that we should go about expressing how we feel about something, and keep in mind and have some empathy towards what the families and everything may be feeling in these situations. Moose pointed out a good point when we were talking about Charlie Mack and Curly Holman. We lost so many kids to Miami and Florida State and places like that. And LSU Kobe says, yeah, Warwick Dunn, his little brother apparently tackled him a few times. And
Well,
man,
hey, we
go ahead, Lon.
we lost Warwick Dunn because Warwick Dunn's mom got murdered. So I mean, like you can't really blame the kid for wanting to leave. His
Right,
mom got murdered, got shot. Like she was a security guard.
right. Like that was a tragic situation. I mean, if if we call a spade, and that doesn't take place, I'm pretty sure we're singing a different song about work done. It's why he still to this day
Yeah.
comes back to Louisiana and does
Oh
so
yeah.
much for the community. It's because
Oh
of
yeah,
who he
man.
is and where he's from. So, it's just that young man was trying to process that tragedy on his own in his own separate way. So that's the way it goes. What up, Paul? Thanks for coming in, man. Appreciate you joining us.
And
So, Lon, no, go ahead, Lon.
oh, I was just gonna say, and it sucks that Warwick Dunn wasn't a Tiger, but like, man, you know what? I'm glad things turned out the way they did for him because national champion, Super Bowl champion, Hall of Famer, probably, in every respect, at least in my opinion.
In the book, right?
Just an absolute dude.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think when you talk about an ambassador for the state of Louisiana being a hometown kid, you can't ask for anybody better. You really can't. And LSU Kobe kind of absolutely agrees. Point on line. Like seriously, like if we would have lost anybody to Florida State, I'm appreciative that somebody like Warwick Dunn, who still like looks back towards Baton Rouge and Louisiana and knows where he came from. So shout out to you.
He
Didn't mean for that to be a Warwick Dunn tangent, but shout out to you, Warwick. Appreciate you, man.
he just barely handed out the LHSAA award.
Yeah,
So like
yeah.
he's always doing that stuff.
Always, and he builds homes and gives homes to underprivileged families. He does a lot in the community around Baton Rouge and around the state. Man, he's a really really good guy. I know Warwick done a lot because as a young kid, I watched Florida State a lot. I liked their colors when I was a kid growing up. That red and
Yes.
gold with those arrows on the helmet, like it popped. It popped. So I used to follow them a lot, and seeing a guy like Warwick Dunn play running back was pretty lit. So Lon, coming through in this game, and I'm starting to learn this because I'm brand new podcast, right? How do you appeal yourself or make yourself, knowing that people will hang on to every word that you say, knowing that you're not going to make everyone happy, knowing that sometimes writing the truth and voicing your voicing not your opinion, but something that you know is fact, and it can piss the fan base off. How are you able to still take that head on and still continue through those tough roads? Like, what gets you through those moments?
Oh God, my family, because sometimes it's nuts. We got a lot of haters. We got a lot of people who love us, but I think the reason that I know what we're doing something right, and the reason that I just can't let go of this career pursuit, this career ambition, is because um, we've got some people who know that we're telling the truth about things, and they want to stop that. They want to shut that down at all costs. They want certain narratives to be told about things. Like, for instance, last year, Garrett Nussmeier was so he was so injured in fall camp. You know, these two different injuries. First, he had the knee injury, and it was kind of like, okay, we'll see. And people were saying torn ACL, torn ACL. People are denying that at LSU. No torn ACL. They're telling me no torn ACL. I'm getting other words from sources. No torn ACL. That's crazy. Nothing like that. And then like a week later, I get from another source who was not related with the first discussion about the knee, saying, "Dude, our quarterback now has a second injury, and it's to the worst place, the abdominal." I'm like, "Holy shit! Okay, this is the worst case scenario because now both of these injuries are going to affect the one or the other,
Right, and
and
compound each other.
your chest." Throwing the football and then your knee, your footwork, and being able to move. He already has maybe some limitations running the football, being mobile. Oh God. On our offensive line, oh God, I'm getting worried. And people are ripping on me. You're saying the sky is falling. You're being very anti LSU. People are saying I'm being anti Nussmeier and all this stuff. And a lot of the media people are saying this is why you only listen to credited news people like us. You only listen to corporate news people like us because people like this don't know what they're talking about. And I got to be honest with you. I had a source that is as close as it comes to Garrett Nussmeier literally lie to me and say he was fine. And yet I still had sources and the the information that proved that he was hurt in not just one spot but multiple spots. And even with that source that was so close, where I could have just said, I heard it from the closest source possible. So blah blah blah. Story done. No more to see here, which is what so many did. He's fine, nothing to look at here, nothing to worry about here. I actually kept going into it, kept reporting it. We were later vindicated when it was obvious by week 3. I mean, it was obvious week 1 that he was hurt, but obvious by week 3 that he was
Yes.
clearly hurt. Um, there's these things that you do that are going to piss off a lot of people. And usually it's when you tell the truth, AP. It's not when you give your opinion and maybe people disagree and that maybe they'll disagree with you and they'll say, well, fuck you, man, or, or, or to hell with you. I'm going to unfollow or block you or whatever. Okay. Okay. But when people really, really want to do you in, when people really want to cancel you, bro, when people really want to shut you down, like what just happened to my Twitter account, when people really want to silence you, that's when you're telling the truth. Because that's what really bothers people. Because especially when you're telling the truth ahead of other organizations that are trying to not do that. It makes them look bad. It makes you look good. And there's a type of competition. And we don't get things right all the time. We make mistakes all the time. We've made plenty of mistakes, and a lot of people know about those mistakes. That we've never hid from them. We've never you know ducked from that fact. But I think we've made a far more. I think we had a far more successes than mistakes. But the point I'm trying to make here, man, is when people are going to get more angry at you, the more truth you tell, the more not just the hot takes you have and that type
Right,
of
right.
crap.
Right, I'm
But
starting to see that a lot. Not just like not for myself personally because I haven't broken any news. I just, I mean, I just kind of piece things together and kind of use common sense. I have no sources. I want that to be put out there. I have no sources. I don't even know how to get or obtain a source, to be honest with you. I'm just
I've now I know you have the most. Sorry for interrupting.
No, you good, man. No, I absolutely have no sources of information. I just piece things together, turn on the camera, fire up a mic, and give my opinion on things. That's literally all I do. But even in that, you can see haters come out, and then when you expose people to reason and logic, and they have no defense against it, they really just want to shut you up. And it's crazy that people react to things in that manner. And even when it comes out to show like what you were saying was true, it's not like they come back to give you any grace or recognize any apology. You just kind of have to stand there alone and take the fact that, yeah, I told you I was right from the beginning, and let you come off and say, oh, I told you so. Then you even look even more like an asshole. It's crazy. Paul says
And,
in the chat. Go ahead, Lon.
oh, I was just gonna say, and then every time, because I have to be the one to say we got this right, or else the historical record won't show it. It's like you bragging asshole, you
Yep.
self promotional jerk, and it's like, dude, I don't work for On Three or 247 or Sports Illustrated where I have this giant platform of people like promoting me, and I have to promote myself. Duh,
Right. Right. Right.
like
It's
I
all
have to
on you.
tell because everyone completely forgot that only one person reported the Nussmeier injury correctly, while everyone else either knew about the injury and hid the information, or most likely just had no clue and thought he was fine until it was quite obvious he wasn't, and just took people's word for it, which is usually what happens, the lazy route. And
Hmm.
we kind of had to, hey, we have to hammer that in here. We have to make sure you remember that. And people instead are, you're self promotional jerk. And it's, I think it's such a dumb side of it, man.
Yeah, man.
You
It's
can't win
crazy.
sometimes.
No, you can't. And that's one of the things I'm falling back. I'm falling into now. It's like no matter as long as I speak my opinion, and if I have truth to share, I'm gonna stand by my opinion. And if I'm wrong, I'm gonna say I was wrong. But if I'm telling the truth on something, then guess what? I'm gonna stand by the truth of it and prove it with fact. It's gonna be on you to accept these facts, whether you like it or not. It's not on me at that point. Paul says, as long as you feel confident in your knowledge and feel morally righteous, you should never fear what someone thinks of what you have to say. Also, be quick to admit when you're wrong. Nobody's perfect and nobody expects perfection. When you can admit fallibility, you solidify trust in everyone. Absolutely right. I am the first to jump out and say when I'm wrong. I love to admit when I'm wrong because I'm not perfect, and I don't want to come across as being perfect at all. Like that's not what I'm here to do. It's not what I'm here to do in life. There's only one person who was perfect who walked this earth, and guess what they did? They crucified him. So even the person who was perfect,
Exactly.
they still found a way to make him out to be wrong. So it's just like LSU Kobe just said in the
Oh
chat just
my,
now. Facts
you
are
just gave
facts.
me
Keep it
chills.
moving.
You just gave me chills with that point, man. Do my cross. Seriously, like
Yeah.
holy crap. That's an incredible point. Wow.
Yeah, the only perfect person to ever walk this planet, they still found a way to try to make him wrong. So if he's not perfect for everybody, I know I'm not gonna be perfect. I know they're gonna find something wrong about me. So it just is what it is at that point. You gotta either I'm gonna give you the information that I think I have and form my opinion. If I'm wrong about it, I will come back and tell you I'm wrong. If I have facts, if I have solid facts of information, I'm gonna share those facts with the people on the other side of the screen and then move on from there. It's up to you to accept the facts as I present my case to you. That's it, plain and simple. So, Lon, as you've been doing this for so long now, like how do you build these relationships to get sources on this information? Like how did you find your way in because like you say you start out just writing about what you love. And then now you're finding yourself where you have people who are telling you tidbits of information that you can use to kind of share with people who are following your writing. So how did you cultivate those relationships as you were exploring your passion?
Really, that's you said it. Well, before I get into that, I challenge every LSU fan who watches podcasts, heed AP's words and actually pay attention to who admits when they're wrong and who never will. And if they don't admit that they're wrong, you probably shouldn't be watching their stuff. We have so many great LSU media people out there, so much to choose from. But if there's people who cannot and are unwilling to admit when they're wrong, obviously they have no problem lying to your face. But
Yep,
AP,
that part right
to
there.
answer yeah, to answer your question, brother. Oh God, what um
The relationships with
you
developing
know,
sources.
I think you said it. The writing. Um, my writing usually would get people to start talking and start saying, "Hey, what's up, man?" And I like the article you wrote about my son or whatever. And some stuff would happen from there. Some people we met face to face. Some people we ran into at a game or at a practice. A family's there on a visit. Sometimes we've had people reach out to us, kind of heard about us and said, "Hey, our we really want to see him go to LSU. We really want to get an offer to LSU. Could you help us kind of facilitate that? How can we get that done?" And I'm like, "Well, okay, we'll write an article. We'll kind of tag like Sherman or one of these guys in it, and we'll get the film in there, and we'll kind of the stats. We'll kind of have it all in this nice little package. You do an interview with me as well. We'll put all this thing, personality, stats, film, all the family, the writing to kind of show the story, kind of put that all in a nice little package and kind of share that social media wise. And you wouldn't believe the amount of traction, the amount of attention that got some players. I'm not trying to toot my horn or anything, because
No,
this is
no.
all about the player themselves. The player themselves earned that scholarship, but it was just a great way of like being able to put it in front of people's face, especially in 2020. This is when I think I did the most of this work, actually, of trying to get guys scholarships or attention. That really happened in 2020 the most, AP, because there was a complete group of kids forgotten by the
Yes.
pandemic and lost by the pandemic, with no recruiting visits, coaches who wanted to sign these guys and then lost touch, lost interest. I would be like, someone would hit me up and be like, "Hey, you know, there was a bunch of different players, a bunch of different kids who had so many incredible athletic talents who were just left behind completely. And I wish I could have helped all of them get offers. I was able to help as many as I could, as much as I could feasibly, physically write and do interviews. I tried to help as many of these kids as possible. Anyone who reached out to me, we would try and hook them up with free articles and do interviews with them, all that stuff. And it's stuff I want to get back into doing more of. We've kind of been sidetracked by having kids and trying to pick our battles of what can we cover, what can we have time for. I really would love to get back into doing that type of stuff again,
Right.
because it's such a rewarding part of doing this. But the rest I got to keep to myself of how I develop sources, because there is an art to it, and there is a way that you can really screw things up. There's a way that you can fail at doing this, and I've failed at doing this. I've made mistakes doing this. I've lost key relationships. I've gained key relationships. I've lost and then regained key relationships. It's really about just being a real human, a genuine human being. If I'm gonna hit someone up with the design of like, "Hey, is your son coming back from this injury, or how's his recovery doing?" For some news, I'm not gonna just like, "Hey," kind of sneak around. I'm gonna be like very blunt and say, "Hey, is it possible I could break some news about this injury,
Right.
and how's it going?" That's how I handle it, because you try and sneak and snake around stuff. No one has time for that shit.
No, I think that's so true, and I appreciate that, man, because that's so honest. It's genuine, and I think that's how it has to be. Moose says in the chat line, as much as you are right about a bunch of stuff this year, and before anyone else, you took a beating from people, and yet when it was proven you were right, it was crickets. Man, just know some of us do really appreciate your hard work, man, and I think that needs to be said because especially when it came down to the Nussmeier injury, I can say for a fact that you were the first person I saw, write about it. And when I saw, of course, you didn't say anything specific. You just said, like a major knee injury for a major injury towards for our quarterback and something be out. Of course, the theories ran, oh, Nuss hurt his ACL, and people tried to pin that specifically on you, which I felt was
Yes.
wrong. And while other people were ducking the injury altogether. And then when Nussmeier was shown in practice with a knee sleeve, it's like these people who were ducking talking about the injury altogether now look stupid because clearly something's wrong. It wasn't to the extent that y'all tried to pin on the person who originally said something was going on and it was proven to be right that something was going on. But like you said, if someone is not willing to admit when they're wrong, it just goes to show you that they're willing to lie to your face and avoid all accountability. Don't
And
think
it's
that,
access journalism.
yes, don't think that just because the people that we've been conditioned to consume media a certain way, that it has to come from a major label, it has to have this type of brand, it has to be dressed up in this pretty package that we're used to seeing with commercial breaks and sponsors all over the place. We live in a different era now.
Yes, we
If you
do.
want
And I,
if you want timeouts and tangents takes, you can come directly to timeouts and tangents. If you want Lonn Phillips and LSU Odyssey's takes and opinions on things, you can go directly to Lonn Phillips. And the benefit of going directly to Lonn Phillips is you're going to get the information that Lonn Phillips has. You're going to get the information and insight that AP has. It's not going to be something dressed up and paid and bought for based off of sponsors. And I'm not saying that guys who are breaking into this space who do have sponsors, who do have paid partnerships, are bought and paid for. That's not what I'm saying. If anything, I'm saying it's the complete opposite. The people who are
yeah,
literally growing and getting it out of the mud are earning it a hard way. They're getting here with real authenticity. And it's something that we need to start taking another deeper look at because for someone to have literally turned on a camera, turn on a microphone and just start talking and then all of a sudden they start getting access to something, they weren't paying their way in. If anything, they were making a sacrifice to get it in. If you know someone who literally just sat at a computer, started typing on a keyboard, putting an article out with nobody there not knowing who's going to click it on the other end, just putting it out there to share, you know for a fact that this person is earning their way through. Nothing just happens by happenstance. It comes by hard work. So the sources that people, this grassroots movement of media that we're seeing right now, that's centered specifically around LSU because, like I've said 1,000 times over, and I'm gonna say it 1,000 times again, there's no other university who can do this, that can be covered in so many different angles, that can be pulled by one state, by one fan base from so many different areas, and still have so many different perspectives. This grassroots movement of media that we're seeing that's swelling up right now, take a hard, long look at it, guys and gals, because this is raw and it's real. And we
and
can
it's the
tell you
future.
right now, right? We can tell you right now, we're going to get a lot of things wrong, but we're here to grow with you through that. And like Lon just said, it is the future. So, getting to the Lane Kiffin of it all, after I just went on my little tangent,
I loved
how
it
did
though.
how did you feel when one when we fired Brian Kelly? We got our teeth kicked in. You know what? Yeah, take me back to that. We get our teeth kicked in October 25th by Texas A&M. Did you have any inside information as to what took place that Sunday afternoon was actually going to happen, or is that something that caught you by surprise?
Not at all. Friday night, or sorry, Friday. Yeah, Friday night. I already wrote an article days before the game against A&M, saying that there was two, and I'm not going to say specifically how they're alumni because I think it'll give it away, but
Mm-hmm.
two alumni who are I never thought I would be speaking to. That's how like big time these guys are. I've had Kevin Falk, I've had some big time people on my show, or have interviewed them, or in my phone. These are two guys that I never thought I'd have the pleasure to speak to, at least for a while. Wow, they hit me up and basically said like, if Kelly, we want you to put out a story. If Kelly, and this is the dead honest truth, if Kelly loses this game and we have a horrible showing, we are going to be willing. We are willing, us two, to put up the money to pay for his buyout. And so I reported it,
And that was on
and I
Friday.
said, I think it was like Wednesday or Thursday, and then on
So it was like
Friday,
early in the week.
and then on Friday night, I'm sitting out back with Chelsea, and I get a call from of one of my favorite sources of all time. This person has never steered me wrong. They've actually saved me from a few mistakes, and they've tried to save me from a few others that I made. This person, one of the best people at LSU, literally says, "Lonn, if Kelly loses this game, and it's even close to embarrassing, he's gone. He's out. They will pay this buyout." And so I was kind of preparing for it. The way the game happened, you just could feel it.
You
It
could
was a
feel it.
feeling.
You
This
could
is gonna
feel it.
happen. And then so I told Chelsea like, I'm gonna have to get shit ready, and I'm gonna have to be up by like 4 a.m. tomorrow. Like I'm like next few days are gonna be crazy, and then probably the next month and a half, 2 months are gonna be nuts. So you got to buckle up. And she was like, oh God, because she had been through it before. And we were, I know it doesn't really matter because first doesn't always mean most accurate, but we were the first people that actually had the balls to report that Brian Kelly was going to be fired. Um, and when Brian Kelly was fired, I was glad because the LSU brand was at risk.
Right.
It wasn't just the season and how the high hopes of the season and what that should have been. It was and what was wasted, and also 2023. It was the brand. It was what this was going to do on the recruiting trail. It was what
Yep.
this was going to do as far as a financing, um, activating the fan base, activating the donor base. That was just not going to be possible under Brian Kelly with performances like that. It was so embarrassing. They took over our stadium, man. Texas A&M, their Yale squad took over our stadium,
Right. It was horrible. It was
and it's he
absolutely
had to go.
terrible. Yeah. It was absolutely
And
terrible.
and once he was fired, man, there was only one logical option. Okay, yes, there was. See if Saban, this pipe dream of Saban, if he'll come out, and I think that was a smokescreen. There was only one logical option, and it was always Lane Kiffin. It was always Lane Kiffin, and that was the only name I was ever told with any like type of juice behind it from the beginning. No pun intended, juice Kiffin. Um,
Right.
but seriously, that was the only name I was ever told was Kiffin, and it was literally Kiffin or bust for Verge Osbury. He had to get this done.
And I think looking back at that moment, we me sitting in the fan seat, no inside information at all. I of course I wanted Lane. Hell, I wanted Lane when we hired Brian Kelly 4 years ago.
Me
But
too.
I didn't think he was ready for the job, but I still didn't care. I would have went to war with Lane Kiffin, you know.
Me too.
But looking at it now, if it wasn't Lane Kiffin, you don't have the reaction that you have right now. So, and I know, like the Florida fans, they it was for them, they were signed, sealed, and delivered. Once they fired Billy Napier, they were all going through the "It's Lane, watch your cell phones" announcement coming. How confident were you, knowing that, with the information that you were privy to? How confident were you, and how early were you confident that Lane Kiffin was going to be introduced as the next head coach at LSU?
Uh, I was very confident that that LSU would would get it done because it felt like just that was the logical place. Why would Kiffin want to go to Florida? And then why would Kiffin want to stay at Ole Miss with all the stuff that was going on and just the way that things were handled and the the way the LSU were playing, hey, we're going to play the long game here. We're willing to wait. We're willing to even let you win a national championship with Ole Miss. Um, Meanwhile, everyone else is like, Lane, give us an answer. And then Ross Dellinger is hiding in his bushes, and all this insane insanity is going on with the Lane Kiffin phenomenon, as I call it. Um, for me, I was very confident, but at the same time, it was like Lane Kiffin. We're not so sure what will happen. But man, about a week and a half before the decision was officially announced, I was being told LSU are just going to be doing everything to make this happen, and they're going to be relentless. They're going to make this happen. The governor is involved. You know, they're literally Verge Osbury is calling upon everyone and everything, and he's kind of the one running this behind the scenes. And I'm kind of like, what, Verge Osbury? And then he gets appointed. All this stuff, these pieces get put in place.
Yes. That.
President Rouse. That was when it kind of was like, ooh, okay. For
Yep.
a minute, we
Yep.
were kind of lost there. Now the pieces are put in place. The governor is actually, we thought he was, turning everything into a dumpster fire. Little did we know he was actually becoming the biggest booster
Organizing.
for LSU
Yes.
by activating the oil, chemical, and gas companies that, hey,
Yep.
those companies already destroy Louisiana enough. They might as well give back finally by
Yep.
helping the school.
No, absolutely. And I think for me, that's when the light bulb went off for me personally. Because like you said, it was a mess at first. It looked weird. It looked strange. But once Wade Roos got confirmed, and the interim tag got removed from Verge, you could see where this was headed. And then another thing too was, like I said, I like to put things together. You didn't hear
Yes.
any bubbling around the second name. There was no movement
Nope.
at all around the second name. They were not. They were not gonna. Lane Kiffin said in the press conference he doesn't do well with no. They weren't going to tell him no. They weren't going to let them. They weren't going to let him tell them no. It was not an option. They were going to pull him away from Ole Miss, whether he wanted
And,
to come or
and
not.
and there are some people who have no affiliation with LSU currently, but did in the past that some old time, long time brass at LSU activated to say, hey, your words will mean a lot to Lane. Can you help us out here? Can you give him some advice here and turn him in this direction? We all know this is the right thing for Lane. And look what it's turned into already. I
Yes.
mean, this is incredible vibes. I'm not saying they're going to win a championship. I'm not saying it's going to all be a huge success because we don't quite know that just yet. Right now, though, looking hot, looking Eva Mendes hot. It's looking absolutely scorching right now, man. This
It's
is this is how LSU should have always been. You know?
yes, and that's I talk about it. I've been talking about it a lot. Like this is you're seeing something that we've never seen before. Like we talked about it earlier. Like we're not living in pipe dreams anymore. We know that we can reach the top. The ultimate pipe dream was seeing LSU really unify. Like we all had we didn't know what we had in Saban until he was gone, right? We didn't know we
Yeah.
had that guy. And with Lane, we feel like we have that guy again. Not saying he's gonna go on this run of 6 championships in 12 years. Hell, Lane might only be here for 5 years and only win one if he even wins one. But it's not even. It's the hope in knowing that you have a guy who's going to leave it all on the field. He's going to give the state and this school everything that he has, and it's pulling everybody in towards LSU. You either stand
Mhm.
on one side or the other. You either love LSU or you hate LSU. And honestly, that is the best place to be in. There's no
Oh
fence
yeah.
riding anymore. There's
Oh
no
yeah.
fence riding anymore. And if you love LSU, you are standing up for everybody that loves LSU with you. It's giving you a common ground to start having conversations and exploring relationships and friendships that you never knew that you could develop and grow. It's bringing people into the fold with you that you didn't even realize was there, and it's showing you upfront clear who's our op. We see it. It's right there in our face. It's no longer hiding in plain sight. It's wide open, and we're staring you in the eyes, and we're letting you know we're coming to take your soul. But we're not coming alone anymore. We're coming together, plain and simple. And I
Hell yeah.
love where we are as a university. I love where we are as a football program. But even more so, I'm more excited to see where this community and this fan base is going to be by the end of this run. This is going to be an amazing time. Paul says, Lonn, I have a feeling you will be a big Hunter S. Thompson fan. If you are,
Yes.
have you ever thought about doing a gonzo journalism style of covering the team? Break that down
Oh,
for
I
me.
have.
What would that look like?
Oh, I have. It's there's an article on LSUodyssey.com called Fear and Loathing in what is it called? It's Fear and Loathing in week one or something like that. If you just type Fear and Loathing LSU Odyssey, you'll find it. But it was literally one of the weirdest things I've ever written, and I absolutely loved writing that thing. I've written a bunch of things where I put myself into the story and kind of the first person thing, but I've kind of been saving that writing for a book project
Okay.
that's going to take a long time with clearing certain things, waiting for certain people to get to the NFL for stories to be able to be permitted to be put into the book. It's going to take a while for that project to be done, but I still that's very interesting to me, and I think I'm going to try that a lot more. Definitely, definitely, definitely obsessed with Hunter S. Thompson.
Man, that's
Huge
awesome.
Hunter S. Thompson fan. The guy, he he had his peaks and his valleys for sure, but I think he is one of the great undiscovered gems in writing. I think people think of him too much as the drugs and the wild behavior and the Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas movie. But man, if people go back and actually read his stuff, The Great Shark Hunt, just go get that book. Read The Kentucky Derby is Decadent and Depraved. Read all these things. Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail 72. What a crazy look at politics. Basically, that book is relevant today as it was back then. Unbelievable. The man had a way to look into the crystal ball and kind of see what was coming down the pipeline. He wrote something on 9/12/2001, where he basically predicted that after 9/11 that America would descend into like multiple wars and all the negativity that would come from that. So my point is that guy could look into a crystal ball and write that shit down and really be almost a prophet. That's a guy that if my name is even in the same sentence with him, I'm doing something right, and that is a massive compliment, man. Thank you, brother.
That's what I was about to say. Well, I definitely appreciate Paul for tying those two together, man. I'm definitely going to look into Hunter S. Thompson and get into it. So clearly, Paul is a fan. Moose says a lot of the LSU media doesn't want to lose their seat at the table. That's why they won't say anything. Going back to our conversation earlier, dealing with these the corporate media, and how things are run. Well, you got to understand, guys. Narratives get spun up. You got to look at how the vision is sowing across our country right now. And I'm not going to get into politics. I don't want to get into politics at all. But just be just be careful. Make sure that you get as many different perspectives on the same topic so you can round out your view and shape things out. You don't want to just have the same voice telling you the same thing over and over again. That's how you find yourself in echo chambers all the time. Paul says, I feel
Yes.
like the 2025 football team season will make an amazing Gonzo Journal book. It had enough twists, turns, ups, downs, and it felt like a carnival ride. Absolutely.
That,
And
that can be done, my friends. That can be done.
Hey, Paul, it sounds like you're getting Lon's whistle a little wet with this one, man. He is getting tempted by this, and I'm kind of getting excited to see this work out too. Moose said, like you said on the Go Team Pod AP, this has brought unity to the whole state. Lon, I've been stuck in this feeling now for like 2 weeks that I've never felt the state of Louisiana feel like this before. Like
Really?
I've never. I'm 40 years old. I'll be 41 in April, and in my entire life, I have never felt the state of Louisiana just be kind of at ease, where everyone isn't just tense or walking on eggshells, but like there's this hope that's just spilling out all across communities. Like I travel across the state every day from
Wow.
Houma to Thibodaux to New Orleans, sometimes to Baton Rouge and Denham Springs. Every day I'm in a different part of the state, and it it's all feel like I'm getting that feeling everywhere I'm at now. Like I've never sensed anything like this. I've never seen the team put off this amount of positive vibes, and there was a little bit of trepidation when the portal opened at first, and it was kind of quiet because people were expecting there to be like almost like the NFL free agency where the portal will open and deals would just start flying in. But it's not like NFL free agency just yet. The portal opened and you had to have recruits come in and do visits. When the portal opened for you, Lon, like what kind of expectations or tidbits of information did you have as to seeing how this class play out? Did it play out based off of how you were going into it? How you were expecting it to going into it?
I expected Lane to do work with the portal. I expected him to spend a lot of money because I was told the money would be around $40 million, and that's almost exactly what it turned out to be. Um, I it was kind of strange because I was hoping he would sign the number one portal class, of course. But did I expect that? No. I did not. I expected a strong, gritty class, a rebuilding class, retain the right guys. I did not expect what he did. He was able to sign the number one offensive lineman, number one edge rusher, number one quarterback, a top 10 quarterback, top 10 guys in almost every position, top five guys. Ridiculous. The depth that we had, the way he focused on the trenches, filling almost every hole. You got TJ Daughtery over from Ole Miss. You get a few guys over from Ole Miss, Winnie Watkins. Man, what is there not to like about this portal class? But did I expect this? Did I expect this type of absolute success? No. But that's because Brian Kelly was too lazy to do it. That's because
Yes.
Coach O was too distracted, maybe too um, some things going on the field to make it happen. Did I believe this was always possible at LSU? Hell yes,
Yes.
because the resources are there, the people who want LSU to be successful are there. Everything to make this happen has always been there at LSU. Lane Kiffin, he just activated it.
Yeah, man. I think we're in a completely different spot now. The energy is high, and like you said, I didn't expect this type of portal class, but I knew the Portal King was gonna reign. I knew the Portal King was gonna do some Portal King things, but I didn't think he was gonna do this. This like Portal Dictator.
Yep, like like top like top five class, top 10 class would be great for us. Number
Right.
one, absolute
And it was
dominion.
it was
Whew.
number one by a wide margin. Like
Yeah,
you didn't just build frontline starters, you rebuilt an entire team with explosive depth at every position group. And man, I cannot say that I was expecting this at all. Jimu said I would go places wearing LSU stuff, and once in a while I get a Go Tigers. Now it seems almost every time I go out with LSU stuff, I hear Go Tigers. Absolutely, that's exactly what it is. The vibes are extremely high. And this is the beautiful thing about the state of Louisiana. You don't have to worry about another school like how Mississippi has to split between the school in Oxford and Mississippi State, how Florida has to share between Florida State, Florida, and Miami, how Georgia has to deal with even a corner of Georgia Tech, Alabama divided by Auburn and Alabama. We don't have to deal with that. We have a unifying school in LSU down here now, and it's up right now. The vibes are high. It's amazing. Paul says Hurricane Lane has swept through Louisiana and has left a wake of hope. Instead of flooding waters, destroying homes, his work ethic of flooding a state with togetherness. It is amazing to see. Absolutely right, Paul. You nailed it. Like the floods that Lane has put into the street are vibes of rebuilding. It's fresh waters of growth. It's fresh waters of life. It is something that is bringing the state together and unifying everybody around instead of washing everything away. It is almost washing the sins and evil away from the past administration, and it's good to see. It's the complete opposite of what we had, and now it's just the finishing touch of what we need. And we needed it, and we didn't even realize how much we needed it. That's the beauty within it. Like as a state, we didn't think that a football program could be able to have this much impact on our daily lives and improve it to where we're so high for each other, not just the football team, but we're high for each other. Like the high that Lane has put us on has set up with a rabid fan base for baseball season. We now have expectations for the basketball program to hold itself up to a higher standard. And just to touch on the basketball program, because I know you cover everything LSU, are there some things that you are seeing or hearing right now in regards to the status of this basketball program? Because there's so many mixed signals right now with the corporate media around LSU. They're going to fire him. They're going to keep him. We don't have the money.
I
The fans
actually,
aren't in.
I,
So,
I actually don't cover any other sport except
okay.
for LSU football. I've always wanted to expand to cover other sports, but AP, I gotta head off. We got a sleeping baby who's just gotten in the car. But man, thank you so much
Oh, no
for having
problem,
me
man. We're going to
on.
wrap.
I really appreciate this conversation. Let's do this again. You got to come on my show next time, brother. Thank you
Oh,
so much,
absolutely,
AP.
brother. You just let me know when, man. Look, guys, everybody send Lon off with a good farewell. I'm gonna let him get out, and then we're gonna close the show out. Lon, thank you again, man. I appreciate it, brother. You have a good night, man. And just hit me up in the DMs, and we'll put that together. I can't wait to be on your show.
Go Tigers, baby.
Go
AP, you're the
Tigers.
man.
Later. Man, well, look, guys, I appreciate y'all for jumping in the chat and engaging with me and Lon tonight. Tonight was a great conversation. That's going to be the first of many. Me and Lon are going to try to put this together. Very awesome. A lot of times. This was awesome. This was absolutely fun. I can tell y'all right now, I'm dog tired. I'm running on like 3 hours of sleep right now for the day. But like doing things like this, I love this. I absolutely love this. I love talking about LSU. I love talking about my state. I love talking about our program. I love talking to you guys, man. Like y'all make it fun. Thank y'all for jumping in. The engagement was high. The vibes were amazing. And I can't do this without y'all. I can't do it without y'all. That's why I'm here. You guys are showing me that we can build something, and I truly appreciate it. I'm gonna keep pumping out this content. I'm gonna keep running on 3 hours of sleep if I have to. That's what we got to do to make sure that these voices are being heard, opinions are being shared, and we can formulate ideas and grow a community together, because that's what this is about, man. I really do appreciate y'all. So it's 9:15 on Monday night. Understand that if you live in New Orleans or the surrounding areas, it's Mardi Gras coming up. I'm going to be back on here Wednesday night with Paul and David. We're going to do a first pitch preview going into the 2 p.m. first pitch for our defending national championships. It looked fine with 9, so we're going for that 9th title run, because we are the standard in baseball. And Paul and David deserve to have some light shown on them with the amount of depth and broad knowledge they have for our LSU Tiger baseball team. So we're going to highlight that on Wednesday night. I can't wait to get into the discussions with them so they all can be fully prepared on what to expect on Friday afternoon at 2 o'clock at the box. So let's get together again on Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. We're gonna do it with Paul and David. Looking forward to that. And also, it's Mardi Gras season. Go get you your king cake, kick your feet up, enjoy a couple parades, and while you're out at the parade, put us on in your ear. At least hear us, so that way you can get this information. Like, share, please share the page, and make sure that you're subscribed. We want to continue growing this thing, like I said, for y'all. I love y'all. I truly appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much, and please, please, please stay safe. Have a good night. I'll see y'all Wednesday.